Well, didn't expect a one-sided beatdown. Hey guys, Infinity here, and today, um, first video of its kind, at least for me, I am doing a battle prediction because I have a I actually know quite a bit about both participants, which is very rare in a battle. Now, as for what this battle is, it's for the next or um triple F. I trying to remember what it's called, but whatever. And today, or rather, they just got a they just released a preview for the battle. I really like it. It shows how much they care about both ends. So yeah, let's get into this and why I think it is a wash. Pun entirely intended. Now, as for the participants in this fiery fan fight, I believe that's what it's called. It is Sidon from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and Age of Calamity versus Undyne from Undertale and Delta Brew. Now, as for the games, what's going to be taken into account, it is obviously those 5 games. With Sidon, it is Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and more importantly for this, Age of Calamity, which is a weird game, but it is confirmed. It was advertised to be canon. Yes, as an Elseworld type thing, because it ends with them making sure Breath of the Wild doesn't happen, but Sidon is still there, and it is something approved as canon in comparison to like Hyrule Warriors, where Nintendo's like, no, that's not canon. It's completely different. Age of Calamity is quite the opposite. Anyways, I am partially using the Versus Battle Wiki, and the issue is Sidon does not have an entry. So I am using what I can. Now, let's break this down into a few metrics. In terms of just physical stats, in terms of physical stats, well, Undyne is hypersonic, or massively hypersonic, which I think is 5 to 10 times the speed of sound, which that's fast. And the reasoning they have is that as a member of the Royal Guard, she is likely faster than student airplane, which is an aircraft. So, yeah, that makes sense. And large building level with AP. Just looking. Yeah, as for strength, durability, large building level is reasonable. I couldn't get footage in my video, but during the battle, one of the bits of flavor text you can get is that she suplexes a boulder because she can. It is, yeah, Undyne suplexes a huge boulder just because she can. And aside from that, the durability is that's actually pretty understandable. The justification for durability being building level, where the explosion from her oven, which she was right in front of, she was undamaged by, even though, you know, she gets dehydrated quickly. And which honestly shows a lot about how Hotland's heat. But she has the same defense value as Papyrus, who is one of the very few characters who actually survives at least an attack and genocide. And that's base. And that is pretty powerful. While with Undyne the Undying, they do not have anything having Undyne the Undying being a notable stat increase. And funnily enough, with Sidon, we do have a notable stat increase we can talk about. This is just some on Undyne, where Lord with Undyne the Undying, she has a higher defense than Asgore, and is the only character in Genocide that can survive multiple attacks from Frisk. That's it. That's really all we know. She has superhuman durability, or superhuman stamina, which is standard. She does have a massive advantage of range, but with Age of Calamity, Sidon is significantly faster. So again, large winning level, massively hypersonic. That's really the best statistically that she has. She's massively hypersonic plus, which, for fun, I'm going to say puts her at around Mach 20 at max speed. Okay. Let's look at Age of Calamity. Now remember, one of the missions that any playable character can go on ends with you fighting Link. And as a simulation, he isn't holding back. As like a trial thing, he is not really holding back. Meaning that everyone in that game scales to him, which is insane. But all the characters in Age of Calamity are relativistic. The reason why is that, unlike, say, Breath of the Wild, where it is implied that the Guardian Beams are not really light lasers, but are energy attacks. But Age of Calamity has them more be legitimate lasers. You do not see a travel time. You do not see a notable travel time in Age of Calamity. You do see that with Breath of the Wild. So, in Age of Calamity, being able to react to a Guardian's beam, even at point-blank range, is relativistic. Meaning that Sidon can approach, or can at least react to, near light speed. As for durability, strength, and the like, being able to physically harm Link puts you at city level, as Link could tank quite a bit. An apt way of putting it is that, to show off, Undyne suplexes a boulder. As part of Regular Tuesday, Link parried a boulder. And as for General X Factor, I don't remember Sidon's actual moveset in Age of Calamity, but he does have a good range with the water attacks in Tears of the Kingdom. In addition, he has healing properties. Now, Undyne does have an X Factor with Undyne the Undying. All the form really provides is a massive boost to attack, defense, and overall health. It does not give her new tools, it just lets her be more ruthless with them. It's a good old Super Saiyan. Now, aside from that, the big thing with Undyne is that it is a good old X Factor, meaning that it is a last stand. If you don't know how it works, and don't remember Undyne, during the Genocide run, you are about to strike down Monster Kid, Undyne steps in the way, and gets hit. And it kills her. But in her last moments, she musters up the determination, which in Undertale is what lets you save and load, and uses that, which monsters should not have, to transform. But the determination also comes at a cost. It puts her on a time limit. As she gets worn down, she starts to melt away. As determination is ripping her very body apart. But being able to withstand Genocide Frisk is insane. As they are, pretty powerful. Like, an apt way of putting it is that the Frisk and Indie Cross, the one that annihilates the entire FNAF verse, that is the same one that Undyne can take hits from. But there is something interesting. Before I mention, there is a handful of X Factors that Sidon has. One is character specific, or to be blunt, basically a quirk with Undertale. Now let's start with the actual X Factor that's rather interesting, and that is the Secret Stone. Now, of course, he has one in Tears of the Kingdom, and just looking. Yeah, it looks like. I'm just looking. Yeah. Yeah. I'm too tired for this. With a Secret Zone, the only real metric we have is Ganon. But as for an X Factor, here's what the Secret Zone gives. Also, with his water manipulation, he can heal. As long as he has water nearby, he can heal himself. Which honestly means that there's a good chance that this will be a non-fatal battle. Because Sidon still has honor. So there's a good chance that when he... Now, because I believe he's going to wipe the floor. Because he's already has a massive stat advantage over Undyne the Undying at base. The only real advantage Undyne really has is range. Along with, if you are going to take into account the battle box. But, honestly, Sidon is so fast, has great reaction, meaning that he'll likely be as good defensively, or rather, with evasion, as Frisk. And is likely more experienced with using defensive options than them. Anyways. So, I think it would be cool if it was a non-fatal, where Undyne and Undying is melting away, and then Sidon heals her back up and spares her. as a fun little reference to the pacifist ending of the fight, where you wear down Undyne and then you help her up when it's all said and done. Anyways, aside from his water manipulation, which Undyne doesn't really have control over water, but Sidon and Mipha do. He likely can't, like, siphon water from her. Instead, he can generate water. He can just shoot water out, which could give him a nice edge with range. And Flurry Rush, which he has in Age of Calamity, is brutal, allowing him to blitz in-game. Now, making the presumption that the Secret Stone is an amplifier and isn't simply like, here's a level of Secret Stone, and by channeling it you even out. Because if I did that, Mummified Ganon is moon level. While he's alive, it's large planet. Or rather, when he's souped up, it's a large planet. Which likely is a 10 times multiplier. But ignoring that, a simple stat boost. I can look to see. Like, actually put the difference. So, making the presumption that using the Secret Stone boosts it by 3 years. Yeah, okay, that'll put him up to island level, which is still insane. But then you can also eat the Secret Stone to become an immortal dragon. In other words, I could be like, alright, screw this honor code, screw this battle, I am out of here. But... ooh. As for the second X Factor, this is fun because I get to look into the Undertale lore. As you see, do you know why the True Locket and True Knife are so powerful? It's because of the value Kara puts on it. Or rather, Frisk. Or Kara, whatever. For you see, in Undertale, the value you put on a piece of equipment is what determines its attack potency and defense. Which is why in Pacifist or Neutral, you have the toy knife and the broken locket. But in Genocide, you have the true knife and the hard locket, which is the most powerful weapon and the most powerful armor, all because you value them dramatically. Why is this important? Do you know what Sidon is using as his weapon? It just so happens to be Mipha's weapon, which means that there's a good chance, a massive X factor, is that it would be comparable to the true knife. Which, for reference, I think the spellbook or the notebook is the strongest weapon you could fight Undyne with. I'm gonna look this up. The Tor notebook is the best weapon that you could bring to Undyne the Undying, which is 2 hits, 2 attack. So 4. The real knife is 99 attack. I am not saying that they will be as powerful, but if they're keeping the X factor, or at least the aspect that the value you put on a weapon or an item determines its value. Now you may wonder why this is important to the lore and why they would even think about this. It's because they are likely having to look at Sidon's love or level of violence. Because with Undertale, a lot of the stuff that are just standard in an RPG are canon. Levels, or levels of love, levels of violence, or just LVs, are not just a metric of you're getting stronger, you are more experienced, you're able to more easily take down enemies. No. It is a metric of the amount of violence you have committed and are willing to commit. The more you take down enemies, the easier it is for you to become distant from them and take them out. But I believe because of Sidon's honor code, he will have a relatively low love. He'll not be a pacifist, of course. He'll be around, like, probably level 5. Not much. In fact, I think the levels of violence would be comparable between the two, as they are both honor-bound warriors. But, okay. Just looking at stuff. I do think they will have part of the deciding factor be specifically that the ceremonial trident and the insane sentimental value would boost its attack dramatically. Now, the Secret Stone also provides a massive ability that would overcome the range disadvantage, and that is astral projection, where he can make a spectral duplicate that can fight on his behalf, and most likely fight alongside him, because it doesn't. They do not imply that they are unable to fight if their projection is out. But, if anything, because we know that at the very least it can be have the projection active and still be able to move around and stuff like that, then at the very least, just like a good old Undertale, Sidon could focus on dodging, while his duplicate could be brawling with Undyne. And as a spectral duplicate is not is not able to be destroyed or killed, then you kind of have a fun little thing where it has the exact same potential as like Iron Man versus Batman. Where one of the things specifically said is that with the drone stuff, he could just win the battle without participating. He could just have his proxy do it. Both Sidon, instead of it being a legitimate drone, it's his astral projection. The battle will be very similar whether Undyne is fighting a spectral Sidon or she's fighting the real deal. Except there's a chance that she'll have to deal with the other. But yeah, I think this is wash. I did mention that quite a few win conditions or X factors for Sidon, but what about Undyne? I think Undyne, as if they have it be where it is proportional to the strength of the opponent, then it could overcome. As an example, if most likely they'll just have Undyne dying, specify that it takes a fatal hit. That's it. Because you are going to see Undyne in the battle. There's no chance that Sidon's going to be like, alright, this is a nice fight, but it's time to go. And then just demolish Undyne with one punch, demolish her into dust. Like, full on just one punch man. That would be funny, but no. But yeah, I do think that Sidon will be defensive initially, but he will get on the offensive rather quickly, and mostly it'll be form of honor, letting her attack and him dodging, kind of replicating the whole Undertale battle system without actually having the X factor, having that aspect. Speaking of, there is a massive X factor of the Undertale battle system being canon. The battle box is canon, where they are legitimately able to manipulate souls and put them in the battle. Now, there is a good chance that this would catch Sidon off guard and drop kick him. But again, I do not think that, especially with someone who work, I don't want to sound like Death Battle, like, oh, he worked with this guy, therefore he's as powerful as this guy. I'm looking at you, Michael Theodore Mouse. No. I'm saying that when he's working with someone as adaptable as Link, and at the very least, he should be prepared for anything. I do think that he will be able to endure, especially if he's able to get his astral self into the battle box to either defend him, his more vulnerable soul, or to break the rules. Because there are a lot of stuff with Undertale that boil down to actually game mechanics being canon, which can be in Undyne's favor, as something like the battle box could catch Sidon off guard to the point where he would be overwhelmed. And with it being soul based, a lot of his superhuman stats, aside from his striking force, might not work. But again, that is making the presumption that the battle box is actually brought in, aside from like probably a moment when Sidon channels like this secret stone and has a power and he basically just punches Undyne out of the battle box, which I think would be funny, especially with the fact that the last time that we've seen the secret stone be used in a battle was a way to break the fourth wall with Ganon's HP bar breaking. So I think it's a fun parallel to that. And I almost forgot. Activating the Secret Stone also heals, meaning that they both have a super form that amplifies their power defense and heals them, except one actually, has a stat boost when compared to the super form of the other. So yeah, TLDR, Sidon watch. This is probably longer than the actual video. I don't care. if you guys like this, like, subscribe. If this video gets 10 likes, I'm not asking for much. I'm asking between YouTube and Rumble 10 likes. I will react to the Fiery Fan Fest and make more predictions based on the death battles that I actually know stuff about, and the Fiery Fan Fest, which I'll most likely know stuff about. And knowing my luck, the next Fire Fan Fest is going to be something like Danganronpa, or another series I have no idea about. Also, as an aside, the fight that I've wanted to see in forever is Link versus Sora, which with the stuff from Echoes of Wisdom, where we finally have a true to form universe buster as the villain that Link directly scales to, then we have a fun fight. Anyways, hope you guys like this. I'll see you guys next week. This is Andy, signing out.